beautiful day in my consciousness, and I hope it is in yours too. Let us begin the worship this morning with Thank You for This Day by Drucker. Thank you
for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for this church, Spirit, thank you for this church. Thank you for this church, Spirit, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day.
Now, church.
Thank you for my church, Spirit, thank you for my church. Thank you for my church, Spirit, thank you for my church. My beautiful, my beautiful, my beautiful church. My beautiful, my beautiful, my beautiful church.
Friends, for this friend,
Spirit, thank you for my friends. Thank you for my friends, Spirit, thank you for my friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends.
Spirit, thank you for this day.
Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day.
Happy New Year, everyone. And may 2020 be absolutely the best yet for you and yours. Thank you. All right. Let us affirm the opening statement together. There is only one presence and one power in my life and the universe, God. This is the Christ candle, which represents that sweet divine essence in each and every one of us, our divine potential. Let us affirm together our vision and mission statement. Centered in God, we inspire spiritual transformation, creating a world of love, peace, and prosperity. We are an inclusive spiritual community, inspiring, awakening, and serving in love. Oh, now we come to the children's blessing. I love this. Of course, we're going to think about the precious children in our families. And let's not forget the rest of the children all over the world. As we say together, we love you, we bless you, we behold the Christ in you. We accept you just the way you are. Walk in beauty, you are divine.
And now, if you would please stand, we'll sing Pour Over Me, Holy Spirit.
Cleanse my heart and comfort me. Pour over me, Holy Spirit. Help me know how to let
thoughts and cares, I release and I let go. Pour over me, Holy Spirit, cleanse my heart and comfort me. Pour over me, Holy Spirit, help me know how to let go. Pour over me, Holy Spirit, cleanse my heart and comfort me. Pour over me, Holy Spirit, help me know how to let go. Pour over me, Holy Spirit, cleanse my heart and comfort me. Pour over me, Holy Spirit, help me know how to let go. Pour over me, Holy Spirit, cleanse my heart and comfort me. Pour over me, Holy Spirit, help me know how to let go. And you may be seated.
Will the prayer chaplain bring forward the prayer box, please?
The prayer box stays in the back of the room most of the time. That's because we want the prayer box to be available to all of us. We take a few moments on Sunday to bring those prayers that have been placed in the prayer box up to be prayed over. After that, we send them off to Silent Unity to be prayed on over for another month. We hold these prayers in spirit and take the words of the song we just sang. Pour over me, Holy Spirit. Pour over these prayers, Holy Spirit. And help us to let go of that which needs to let go. Amen.
Amen.
Julie Upton will now read the daily word.
Through spiritual connectedness, I find strength. I do know that I'm not pronouncing that word right, but I can't say it. So, knowing that I am a member of the human family and belong to a greater community of faith awakens my inner sense of spiritual through strength and power. James Dillett Freeman, former director of the Silent Unity Prayer Ministry, once described redwood trees as the perfect metaphor for this shared spiritual strength. You know, you'll never see a redwood standing alone, he said. It takes several of them to intertwine their shallow roots to remain standing. Redwoods are like us, I suppose. They find their strength in community. My spiritual roots are intertwined with all of humanity. I am strengthened by my shared interconnectedness in God. The hearing ear and the seeing eye, the Lord has made them both. Proverbs 20:12.
Thank you very much, Shirley.
Welcome.
Let us all prepare ourselves now to say together our sacred Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. We are looking into other versions of the Lord's Prayer. Blessed One, our Creator and Sustainer, holy is your name. May your love be revealed in our hearts and in the world.
May your will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Save us in the time of trial and deliver us from error. Yours is the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. And now let us breathe deeply together as we move closer to that still and silent place within us. Breathing deeply in, we draw that love from Source, big love. And as we exhale gratitude, thankful not for anything, only grateful. And as we continue to breathe just a little more deeply than normal, we allow ourselves to relax. We check in with our body, our feet firmly on the floor. And moving up our legs, we relax, feeling our seat firmly planted in the pew. And we continue to relax, checking in with our body and allowing our muscles to just release. And as our body becomes more relaxed, our mind becomes more still. And we move a little closer to that silent and still place within, where we encounter the truth of our being, the Christ. We all are children of God. We all are Spirit. And as we take this time to go to that still place, we lift up those in our families, our friends, and we hold them in the light that is life and love, directly from Source. We feel that life force flowing through our body now, radiating out into the universe, touching all those who we love, all of those we know, and all of those we don't know, equally with love. That big love that only comes from Source. And we know that Source within ourselves. And we radiate that love outward. With its rejuvenating power of life, it sweeps through our body, out into the universe, and returns back. 100-fold we receive this love back from Source, and we radiate it out again in that ever-flowing life. And we feel that flow in this moment, secure that we are where we're meant to be, secure that all is in divine order, and we rest upon the security in the silence. And now, as we gradually come back from the silence within us and become more aware of this physical space that contains our spirit, we feel that gratitude. That gratitude that can't be divided from that big love. Gratitude not for any of the many things in our life that we can be grateful for. Just grateful. And with the spirit of gratitude, we say thank you, and so it is. Amen. And good morning one more time. The talk this morning is going to be about self with a lowercase s versus self with a big S. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. That comes from Romans. To be carnally minded. Paul uses this word to talk about something that we call mortal mind, if you come from the Christian Science tradition, or intellect. Emily Cady uses that word. Or ego. You hear that quite often nowadays. So the carnal mind, or ego, or self with a lowercase s. The carnally minded is death, the verse says. Death. That seems harsh. But think of it as this. Death is a gradual dissipation of that life force. Death as dis-ease. Error thought. But to be spiritually minded is life. Spiritual mind, that Christ mind, higher self. We hear those words. And life. Life is that energy that moves from thought into expression. We are that life. We are that divine thought moving into expression in this world. And peace. Peace is a harmony of our whole body structure. Our whole body working together as one. And then scale that up to the body of humankind working together as one in harmony. So let's look at those a little closer. This is from Lessons in Truth by Emily Cady. She's certainly my favorite. I really think that if we have Lessons in Truth and we have the Bible, then everything else we can find within us. And she'll help point the way. But what does she say about this carnal mind? It's a servant to the real mind. And as a servant, carnal mind is good. It loves to argue its case, and it wants to be the master. But as long as it stays the servant, it is good. Why do we want it to stay a servant and not be the master? Because its information is incomplete. It only comes from the five senses, what we can read, what we can talk about. It's full of error. It says things like, I'm not good enough. I can never do that. And when that happens, we can say, no, that is not the truth of who I am. We can deny that carnal mind when it is in error thought, and then affirm the truth that I am a spiritual being. I am that Christ mind, and it is what's in control. That Christ mind is the spirit within each of us. You can call it divine mind. Emily Cady uses the words, the real mind here. Christ mind makes no mistakes. When we can still our intellect, like we did during the prayer, even if we only do it for a little while each day, we can allow that Christ mind to speak within us. And when it speaks, it uses a still small voice. We hear that phrase quite often in unity, and without really realizing where it comes from. The prophet Elijah, after he demonstrated God's manifesting power by burning a pyre that was doused in water, when the other priests couldn't even get their dry pyre to light, he said, throw all the water on this pyre, and the fire came down, boiled all the water away, and burnt the funeral pyre. After this, the priests and the servants of the king were angry at him and wanted to do away with him, so he fled. And he went up on Mount Horeb, and he hid in a cave. And he was hiding there in a cave, and he heard God tell him to come outside. There was a huge wind, like a storm. In the storm, he did not hear Spirit. There was earthquakes, shaking and rumbling, and he did not hear the Spirit in the earthquakes. And there was fire, and still he did not hear Spirit. But after the fire, there was a sound of sheer silence. There was a sound of sheer silence. And from this, a still small voice. And in this still small voice, he heard that Christ mind. And how do we know when we're hearing truth? When we're hearing that Christ mind, as opposed to earthquakes, fire, strong winds? Emily Cady tells us that you will know it just as you know that you are alive. It doesn't have to be proven that we're alive. We are. And we know it. And in the same way, we'll know that truth when it comes into our mind. So I've really been looking at myself. Looking at that carnal mind specifically. Trying to know myself. This word persona is used to describe self. But actually, it's not just one self with a little s. There's a bunch of those little personas running around in my own mind, in my own personality. We think of ourselves as being one I am Dean, you know. But in actuality, there's lots of different Deans. So I started playing with that idea. Debbie Priest, I don't know, you know her very well, I'm sure. She's not here this morning, but she had had some trouble with sleeping. And so she went through different types of therapies to try and get herself to allow herself to sleep again. And one of her therapists suggests something that I just really found fascinating. To look at her personas and give them cute little names. Once they have this cute little name, they're not so big and domineering anymore. Because remember, the ego's okay as long as it stays a servant. It's good. But if the ego becomes the boss of us, that's not so good anymore. That's when we lose sleep. That's when we go into fear. That's when we find that dis-ease. Our energy, our life force gradually dissipates. So, I wanted to observe myself. Personas are masks that we wear. Some of them we're aware of. Some of them we're not. So I started looking at who am I? At different times during the day, throughout several days, and I started to give them cutesy little names. Well, the first one that I came upon was Paul. So I thought, oh, I can use the Beatles. So I gave different Beatle names. So Paul is that perfectionist within me who wants to have everything in its right place. When I'm at work, Paul comes out big time. Paul is the one who says, oh, the pencil has to be just so on the desk, and then just next to that has to be my calipers, and then over here I've got the stack of the work that I need to get done, and just on and on like that. He likes to see everything organized and ordered. It may not look pretty and neat, but for Paul, it's just the way he wants it to be. So I've got this John, too. If you remember, John was a creative Beatle. John is sort of emotional. So that's that side of me. I don't let that always come out. Maybe some more of the creative side, but I kind of block out that shadow part. So it wasn't as easy to find as Paul was, because Paul is out there like all the time. I don't even try to block him out. But see, some of these personas are the face that we show the world. Some of these personas are the face we don't ever want the world to see. We don't even want ourselves to see them, and they're very difficult to find. George for me was that part that wants to appear to be very smart and intellectual. I call it intelligentsia because it's kind of uppity, smart. Ringo is a good boy. He wants everybody to like him. He's kind of cute in a funny way, or funny in a cute way. And Arnold? I don't know if any of y'all remember Green Acres. There was a little white pig. Arnold was part of my shadow for sure. He likes food. Thinks that, well, we got to eat it while it's in front of us, And he melds with that good boy, that Ringo part, because he's got to clean his plate. If there's food in front, it's got to be clean plate when we're done. Because that was what I was taught, so I wanted to be the good boy. So Ringo and Arnold interact in that way. There's other parts in the persona. I continue to discover them. That good boy part, I didn't think that I didn't really, that was part of my shadow. I didn't allow that was part of me. And I was in Sunday school one day, and one of the people in Sunday school said something about needing to do something to please somebody else. And I immediately jumped on that. My mind went right to, that's you need to do things for yourself, not for other people. And then, almost as those words were coming out of my mouth, I said, that's yourself. That's you who's wanting to please people. I couldn't see it in myself until I saw it in this other person. And that's the way shadow works. It's called projection. Whatever is in our shadow, we'll put it on other people, and that's what we'll see. There may be lots of things to see in that other person, but what are we going to actually find and pull out is what we need to see about ourselves. I have other shadow personas that I've identified. I call one Peter, one Mary, but I don't really want to talk about them. They need to stay in the shadow for a while. Let me deal with them myself before I just bare my soul in front of you. But if you'll look, you can see these different personas in yourself. And it really helps us to know ourselves. So, the intellect argues, it compares, it takes input from the outer world, and it's mostly outer-oriented. Whereas the Spirit reveals. It's inner-oriented. Oriented towards ourself and our spiritual growth and the growth of humanity. One of them may be true, the intellect, but the other is always true. Spirit does not give opinions about truth. It is truth, and it reveals itself. It reveals itself. Remember I said, you take the Lessons in Truth book, and you take the Bible, and the rest you discover within yourself, because Spirit reveals itself to us. So there's an icon. I don't know if y'all know much about icons. They're used in Orthodox Christianity more than any other. And this is an icon that was originally painted to be the story of Moses and the three angels. It's about hospitality. But it has taken on a different meaning through the years and has come to stand for the Trinity. So you've got three angels there, and they're kind of looking at this cup that's sitting there on the table. Now what's really interesting about this cup is when they started looking at the original icon, there was glue in the cup. There was a mirror glued onto the icon. So what you have is the Trinity, each part of God looking in the mirror at itself. And can you see that that's what we are? We are that Spirit looking in the mirror. We are that process of Spirit looking at itself. And so, know thyself. Know thyself. As we navigate through life, let us be aware. Let us know ourselves. There's a handout in the bulletin. It's titled 2020 Visioning. There's just a few questions there to help. They're like seeds. And the reason I bring them up is so that we can prepare, because next Sunday we're going to be doing Burning Bowl. And these are seeds to help you to see what is going on with yourself. So we'll not only do a Burning Bowl, but we'll also do a letter. You'll get an envelope and a piece of stationery to write down a letter to yourself or a letter to Spirit, however you want to address it. And then at the end of the year, you'll get your letter back so you can see how your year went. It's a time you can set intentions. And in the same time, as you're looking for that, look at the things that you need to let go. And those are the things to put into the burning bowl. So use this through the week as a tool to help you to explore yourself. So that next week we can move into the new year with a fresh start and a fresh vision that is guided by Spirit, by self with a capital S and not self with a little s. Thank you so much this morning, and I wish you all a happy new year. And we have a song. So please stand, and we'll sing together in the silence. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's relief from a world filled with chaos and noise. And I wait to these precious moments when I hear all that never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world filled with chaos and noise. I awake to these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find God, I find